right, buddy, I have pressed the record button. Hit me with this awesome Asui 3 deck. Asui 3 Storm of Arrows? Question mark. I mean, you've combined my two loves. I love Storm of Arrows. I love Asui 3. Hit me with the pitch.
Well, so I've got that, and I've got the 2 check since all of the games that you've been playing recently on your stream every deck seems to have a 2 check of some sort in it. So this is just using, it sounds like this is a thing that's been going around a little bit, is using Sniping Spy and Storm of Arrows and other ranged weapons like Walk the Dog and Dagger Flourish, just to try and keep your card pool clear. And
Yeah.
with Tsuyu, you get to play Chimera Kraken, which is just a hilariously good card, but you can still clear it with your character. And Chimera Kraken being able to target Commit and Freeze can still threaten with Fiery Dagger Flourish to blow something up.
That's cool.
So it's just a deck where the goal of it is to go to Magic Christmas Land where you can play 6 or 7 attacks in a row, but then instead of worrying about running out of cards in your hand or putting speed on things to make sure they hit, Sue draws a card every single time they block, and so then it's just more of a game of attrition of, do you have enough attacks in your hand to play, that many in a row, and that's where Fearsome Transformation and Latent Skill can come in to help just get that, even though it's cycle, you're drawing enough non-attack cards that you can throw away to cycle.
Yeah.
And so you're just trying to dig for, 8 or even 10 attacks in a turn where you can just, they can have -4 speed on everything, but if they don't have 6 or 7 cards in their hand, they're not stopping the whole thing, assuming you don't check your 2s or 3s.
Yeah. No, this does make sense to me. This is cool. This is a cool idea. So my question is what do you need my help with?
So one thing I've been struggling with is just defense in general. Just compared to the Waterless that you were playing, you had really powerful or really good access to just like Ice Gliding or Fast Friendship and Referee Jury, just so much powerful defense that Air doesn't really seem to have access to. And even if you just build 4 pass, you're holding 2 cards and you can still draw cards and block, or you can still commit your character for cost to ready. You can still kind of get there, but if you like on turn 2 or turn 3, if you check a 3 and you're down foundations, it just seems like you're in a really bad spot of only having 2 or 3 foundations, and you don't have a lot of options for stun hate, and so it's just kind of, I don't know, it feels like once you start to fall behind in terms of defense, you just kind of fall over.
Sure.
And that's the biggest issue that I'm having overall. I mean, offense seems to, like, once you get, or it just takes a little bit of sculpting to get the right hand, but with the it seems to work out for the most part, but there are some times where the damage is a little bit lacking, especially if you don't have the the foundation pressured by all for 1, where you blow up for 3 damage.
Yeah.
Or where you destroy 2 for 3 damage. I mean, if you have that, you can get enough damage, but sometimes damage is an issue. But it's just mostly the defense and just staying alive and trying to sculpt around hands that sometimes just don't quite work.
Okay. Easy. We can certainly make this happen. So here's what I'm gonna say. I'm not gonna touch your attack lineup at all unless I see something or think of something crazy, right? So I'm gonna just like zoom through. It needs to be weapon ranged combined, because I think the only one we're allowed to have not be that is just the whatever. Thoughts on Flaming Arrow instead of Fiery Dagger Flourish? It's a 5 mid for 4 as opposed to a 4 mid for 5. With powerful 3 instead of the whatever. It's a 2 high block, 1 high block. Very similar ideas, but just think on it.
Yeah, my thought is that Fiery Dagger Flourish, if they don't block it, gets more advantage than just getting damage in. And since I don't really get to keep momentum, since I'm always clearing the card pool, I might have 1 or 2 at the at the end of a turn, but typically I'm not carrying over a lot of momentum.
Okay.
But I mean, the block modifier is definitely a good reason to think about that.
That is fair. I'm just nervous about the block modifier. That's all. Like when I look at block mods on the attacks, which are the things that we want to block with, right? We want to block with the attacks. I guess Quick Draw is like the best one. Let's look at our block zones here. We only have 1 low block. Is there an idea where we put Walk the Dog up a little higher? Maybe.
Or we
get
started
crazy
it for.
with an Overwatch. Nah,
I was just
is
having
crazy.
issues with wanting ranged weapon cards that I can play as my first attack, just because Walk the Dog, unless you're on they attacked and they've got their 4 committed foundation or 3 or 4 committed foundations, it's just hard to play. And Quick Draw, even though it's kind of blank-ish, I mean, sometimes you draw a card, but
yeah,
I just put that in as a 2 of to just have a 4 diff ranged attack that I'm okay with playing first. Or play Chimera Kraken, and then you have a 4 you have to play on a 5. That's a ranged weapon that you can then clear with Storm of Arrows, and it just flows a little bit better. Whereas sometimes Walk the Dog, if you draw 2 of them in a Storm of Arrows, you can be kind of bricky if you don't have anything to really start your turn with.
So there's an idea where it's actually supposed to be Glacier Breaker instead because it also counts as a low block. I get that like it doesn't synergize well with Asui's thing because it like pushes up for +4 damage instead of the like. There's an idea there. I would just be nervous about low blocks because I have a gut feeling that we're going into a low block or a low attack meta of like low attacks are going to be key, right? Specifically on the Chaos symbol. Like Chaos is already doing that, but it might just be more. So let's look at actions assets first. Whoops, I need to click this. Action asset go. How many charge attacks we play? The answer is none. Okay. Cape No Return. That card's pretty good at defense, huh? Guy's Guidance. This card's pretty good at defense. Airy Smile. Already in the deck. Okay. Bracers. Ready gets that go. Okay. I move this, and we come here. Okay. Nothing missing there. Curious About Quirks is a Nito card. Curly's. Fearsome. Acrobatic Style is weird. That is a weird one. Weightless. Problem Solving is cracked in our deck. Problem Solving is nuts. Never shown Big 3. Cool and Tough is a neat card at Deadlock. Gunhead, okay. Moth Monster. Fruit Tart is a crazy card. We don't do that. There's a deck that abuses this card. I don't know what it is yet, but it's going to be nuts.
Which card? I'm sorry.
Teacher's Guide. Oh, I'm not streaming my screen. You should have told me. I'm not streaming my screen. Oh, sorry. I was
keeping up on the stream, but it's, just a little bit behind. Let me pull it up. Your stream up.
Masha Concealment is a crazy card. There's an idea where this is supposed to be in here. Yes, no, 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 yes, no. Okay. Yeah. Beep bop beep bop boop. Pew. Can't escape me, cheerleader. Confused. Okay, 3 diffs. 3 diffs are important, even if we are playing 2 checks. They're still very good. Might be important to have. Black Fist. Okay, apparently not. Okay, so here is what I have put onto the table as options. I want to talk about the biggest change in your main deck that I want to make. This needs to be a 4 of.
Okay.
You are allowed to mitigate every risk that you have with a 0/5 foundation. This card is going to, under these 3 symbols, says that you are allowed to play bad checks and feel good about them. You're just allowed to. This card is not nearly as good. This should just be swapped for the 4 of Life of Danger. You're allowed to check this thing, and it was a 3. It was a 3.
Or if you have 2 of them, you check a 4.
Correct. Yeah. Okay. And you just slam them. Very good. And that's like the number 1 thing that I see. Number 2, this just needs to be a 3 of. I
Okay.
think that any deck that can play this card should just play it as a 3 of, because at worst, it's a 1 mid block on a foundation, which feels fantastic.
Right.
Feels
And
so
Sue
good.
can. Yeah, that's one I was stuck on. But I mean, I figure because Sue can discard it for cost, or you can discard it with latent skill, or
Yeah.
what's the other one? Fearsome transformation. You can get rid of it pretty quickly if you have extras.
We just like this. This card has to exist on our board, right? Because like that's the way that we get to just like kill people. It's like +4 damage on everything by like destroying our committed foundations. It's crazy. So let's talk actions, assets first. Crazy, we're not playing 1 cape. This card is just a get out of jail free card. There's no reason not to play it. First, before I do something crazy, what's this number at?
I was keeping it low just to keep it consistent, but I've found that 63, just having that 21st attack, kind of rounded out some of the numbers a little better. But
Okay.
I'm not particularly attached to anything.
Love it. Love it. When it comes to like actually speed hate itself, I mean the only thing that is like pseudo out of place here is like childlike appearance, right? You say that you're not going to have the momentum to do the thing, but we have the momentum out here.
Yeah.
And we have momentum out on our attack, so if we accidentally scoop one up, it's fine. But having a blank card, I mean, is it nice try just like a better, more well-rounded idea than this?
Yeah, or I guess the Cape of No Return, I mean, it's a 3 instead of a 2, but it's getting rid of the attack entirely instead of just making it blockable.
Yeah. Yeah, so I just want to cut childlike. I think it's just gone.
That makes sense. I don't think I've resolved that once in the handful of games that I've played.
Agency Trainees is a very cool card. It should be a 1 of. We'll put nice try up to a 4 of. This card counts as bonus if it's free foundations. It's doing the same idea of what a Mother's Embrace is doing, but I actually want to replace a Mother's Embrace with 4 copies of Problem Solving. This card is crazy in our deck. It's crazy, my guy. It's so good. So not only do you get to, is it anti-stun, which is going to be huge, right? Stun is everywhere. I mean, it makes your opponents walk the dogs worse. They stun one and you just tell them no.
Okay.
Right? Toga 3 is about to come on the map in a big way. Toga 3 is going to be crazy. Toga 3 is going to turn everybody's boards sideways and murder them. And so, like, this card just beating Toga 3, because it's just after it's committed due to a rival effect ready it doesn't say non-character, it doesn't say due to a stun effect, it's just a rival effect. This card just beats that. And then it counts as a bonus resource whenever you use Asui or whenever you use your latent skill.
Okay.
Yeah, and so it says that, like, you play Vast, or you play whatever, and then Storm of Arrows, after you've latent skilled, you discarded your problem solving, your Storm of Arrows is on a 5.
Okay.
And so now it's just, you just roll 5s and you just, like, win the game. I think that it is better than what a Mother's Embrace is doing. Let me go double check our block zones. If I do this, what happens? Okay, we probably need to find some better low blocks somewhere else then. Did I put low blocks?
Yeah, the block modifiers were really rough. A lot of them were +3.
Either that or we, like, find some ways to put in Fruit Tart, right? Fruit Tart under the all and good symbol is crazy, because I can Fruit Tart, block with Aries Smiles, build in a face down, flip a card, you have to play a non-attack card.
I guess my issue that I was running into with Fruit Tart was that you commit for cost to change the zone, and then you build the top committed, and so it doesn't... I mean, it only makes it easier to block by making it, like, by changing the zone, but it doesn't affect the speed while you're committing a foundation.
Sure.
But I think I might have been just kind of brute forcing the speed reduction instead of trying to... Or I've been trying to, like, focus on blocking things and kind of emulate what you were doing on water, whereas it sounds like I should be focusing more on disruption with, like, Cape and Airy and just trying to stop their turn and not trying to block 3 or 4 moves in a row.
So it's a twofold thing, right? Like, the other idea that you have is you have a re-readyable foundation on every single attack if you have the cards in hand, right?
Yeah, it's like a -1 speed on everything if...
And so committing this card is not that big of a deal if we're down for it, right? It just really depends. Let's look at our difficulties real fast. We have so much spam. I think that we're just supposed to get rid of this Banshee Sword Shriek altogether. 10 spam is plenty. I know that you're running the 4-2 checks, but even in my Tasty Rift deck that wanted to, like, build them, I don't think I was running 10. Or I think I was running more than 10.
Okay. Yeah, I was just playing a bunch just because if my attacks are getting blocked, and with Storm of Arrows counting as 2, if I'm drawing on, if I play a ranged weapon and it gets blocked, and then Storm of Arrows and it gets blocked, and then Echo and that one doesn't get blocked, I played 2 cards, I drew 2 cards, and so I'm trying to, I can still build 3 or 4 afterwards was kind of my thought, and I want it to be easy to play it without committing too much, but at least, yeah, that's what I was thinking when I was putting in that much spam, just trying to get it to be more consistent, more function than having better options.
We want one incompatible. Still at 63. A little low here. Let me go back and look at low blocks. Foundation, air, low block, go. What exists? I mean, this is minus speed.
Well, with what you were saying about stun, should ready for a rematch be in there since it gets committed and then gives the -1 speed and it's a 6 check? Or
so I think re-readying the foundation is just better because it also is like good on whenever your opponent referee juries you, right? This card just says no, you didn't.
Oh, okay.
Right? Like there's just like way more applications of what's going on. Haggler is huge. Form, discard a card. It's this one. Draw a card, they can gain 2 and then redraw. If you're just playing infinite attacks, then like you getting to draw a bonus card and gain 2 more health is like pretty crazy. It's also a 2 low block, which is kind of a big deal.
I mean, but they're drawing an extra card, and since I'm putting no speed on things, if they have a little bit of speed reduction, doesn't that just give them an extra block? Or not necessarily because it's a random card off the top?
It is a random. I mean, that's the risk we take, right? I have found that in that Shameless Haggler has been pretty abysmal. Like, so it is flip, discard a card. It is flip, discard a card, draw a card, right? And if they draw the card, you get to draw an additional card. And so like it feels really like most of the time you're I don't want you to, if I can stop Chivalrous on my rival's turn, I'm going to. Right? Like I just will. Unless I'm in such a panic that I have to find this extra draw, right? Because I don't want to give you an extra walk the dog. I don't want to give you an extra Storm of Arrows.
I see what you're saying.
Right?
Yeah.
And so like I'm just not going to take the draw. And all you did was just cycle your hand.
Right.
Right?
But it's also gaining 2 health, and if they do take the draw, that's 4 health, and that's half an attack.
That's an attack, right?
Yeah. I guess my thought was it's a 2 diff that a 1 diff can do, like Fearsome Transformation or Personal Reload, but the 2 low block is also pretty powerful.
Yeah. Yeah, I like it, but we also missed Resourceful, which is not a bad move by any stretch with the weapon keyword like being kind of hot. It literally beats your deck. Combined with it, it's a 1/5 2 low block. I don't think it needs to be like a full rove, but it's fine.
Isn't
Rifle Arm is also, it's plus speed and minus speed, and if it's the only attack in its own is Cardpool, +3 or -3 instead, and you clear cards.
Yeah, I mean, I typically only have 1 attack my Cardpool at any given time. But
it's
is basic training just better defense since basic training is commit for -2, but it re-readies itself?
Basic training. Do you mean nice try?
Or, I'm sorry, nice try. Yeah.
So if the goal here is to find low blocks and minus speed, then like tossing this in at a 2 of is not that big of a deal, right? Like we just go find something that doesn't matter. Like we could take out the Ryukyu's Training Agency. We could take out one of this evasive maneuver because it's a high block instead, right?
Yeah.
Like I get that it's a spam, but when we look at our difficulties, 27 of our 42 cards are spam, we're fine, right? And that's like without taking out the evasive. So it could be a 2 of, and if you find that this card is not doing it for you and you still need more low blocks, you just like take out the evasive maneuvers because you've got a ton of those for Resourceful. I might even just recommend doing that if you're nervous about block mod being equal.
Yeah.
Or just like take out a Mother's Embrace for it, because like I don't think you're gonna have a problem with having your stage ready. Truthfully, I don't think it's gonna be a big deal. You're gonna be playing on such low progressive anyways that like even checking the 2 whenever it's not great is like going to be fine because of how much clearing you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna make that change. I'm just gonna do it. We're just gonna do it and put in the 2 resourceful. It is a better block zone. Did that work? That didn't work. 2 of it, please. It is a better block zone and is more minus speed to like let your character do what it wants to do. My thing is I'm still up a card. Let's look at high blocks. We have a lot. I mean, we could just kill the Evasive Maneuvers. With 4, 6, 10, 12, 13 commit minus speeds. We don't need this to make it 15.
Okay.
Yeah.
Even with that being a 2 high block and hating on low attacks a little bit better, or is the extra minus speed on low attacks just more coincidental than intent,
it's the fact of like we've got 23 and 16, right? And like this is not 62, which means that like we get to put one thing back. So like finding a low block. So like instead of the 2 resourceful, it's now a 3. And then there we put the speed hate back. And because you have things like Return of the Kings, like you find a momentum, Return of the Kings is crazy in your deck, man. It's so correct to block, build, and then do the thing. Yeah. Thoughts?
I think that all makes sense to me. I'll have to try it with a little bit higher difficulty curve on the foundations to get a feel for it and see how that works out. I guess the only other question that I had was just I guess more of a gameplay, like more of a question about like the gameplay of like when I'm trying to apply pressure. I mean like just because if you like in theory if you check 5s because you're not playing on progressive, you just kind of win the game on turn 2 if you draw the right hand and whatnot, and like on paper it works out that way, but in practice it often doesn't. I mean, I guess with Sue where I can keep writing the character to keep drawing cards and kind of get that like win that or like apply a lot of pressure on turn 2. I mean, is there a point where like with a certain number of foundations you just kind of back off, or like where if you have 3 attacks in hand, you just build 3 pass and wait for the next turn and try and get a little bit bigger stage to make it more consistent? Or I guess like that's one thing that I've been having an issue with, and I don't know if it's necessarily in the scope of the deck doctor specifically, but just trying to like get a feel for how do I like when do you start playing more aggressively, when do you build, because 6-handers feel kind of awkward where like if you have 3 attacks and three foundations, building feels kind of bad, but also attacking also feels kind of bad, especially if you only have like 4 foundations.
This is a very cool question, specifically with Asui. And here's the answer I can give you. The strength of Asui comes from the fact of my rival doesn't know when I'm done. Right? My rival doesn't actually know 100% how they're supposed to interact with my moves. I am hopping around all over the place. If I play an attack card, I'm not a 6-hand size character, I'm a 7-hand size character.
Right.
And if they block my attack card and I play another attack, I'm not a 7-hand size character. I'm an 8-hand size character. And that is if I want, and I can go back to being a 7 if I discard the card of the Asui, right? Or I use Sniping Spy, or I use Storm of Arrows, right? To like clear that card, and I keep my, and so like the answer is doing 27 in 1 turn as Asui is incredibly hard.
Yeah.
Doing 22 as Asui is doable. So if I can hit you for 5, cool. If doing 20 as Asui, very easy. Let's find 20. Okay, so if I can poke you for 7 and you not know when I'm done or which one you're supposed to block or whatever, there's where I'm supposed to ease off, right? Okay. And so like the whole game should be I stay at 27 as best I can, right? You should try and block everything because that lets you filter on your rival's turn. And you play pokes that they don't want to interact with because they don't know if the Walk the Dog or the Storm Arrows or Sniping Spy is coming. They don't know. Right. And then whenever they get down to 16 health and you draw 5 attacks, there it is. Like you found the game, right?
So you're just trying to get your 4 and 5 damage like hits in to try and get that that get their health pool to that range that's workable. And so if you're at 3 and 3, maybe play one because you draw a card, and if it's a foundation, then you can just kind of build. Or if you draw an attack, maybe your deck's telling you to keep going. You just gotta kind of feel it out, is what it sounds like. And
or it's an attack that you block with, right? I will commit and I'll draw another card. I'll block with the attack. I'll ready. I'll commit. I'll draw a card. I'll discard a card. I'll clear the attack card. It's like you didn't play it. I didn't play a block, right? I just got it for free.
Right.
And so like there is value in drawing attacks and playing attacks on defense, right? Which is why I was like, maybe it should be a 1 high block instead of the 2 high block, right?
Yeah.
But I mean that you'll just have to figure that out, right? This character is the second best poking character in the game because you don't know what's happening. The best poking character just being Amajiki because he really doesn't care what happens. Hey, I'll play my one attack. It's gonna go to momentum. I don't give a shit. I don't care. And she's really bad at playing against Amajiki, who is like, I understand that you're poking, and my pokes will just be better. I will block. Okay, I will block with whatever. I'll play my poke, and it doesn't matter if you block or not. Asui wants to get some moves through and wants to get some blocks to happen. She just does.
Mm-hmm.
Did that help?
Yeah, no, that all makes sense to me.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. Asui's another one of those characters that I'm looking to revitalize as soon as Godzilla comes out. I've got a nasty idea for a chaos list. So thanks for the warm up. Thanks for putting me back in the frog headspace.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for your help, and thanks for streaming your games to make the character a little bit more understandable.
Hell yeah.